adult film. Was it what you expected doing your first scene? She had me doing moonsaults off the top rope.
Oh my God.
Having implants.
I feel like I know things somewhere. Why?
Why not?
I mean, I thought about it for a long while before I did it. I mean, I got a lot of uproar from the whole industry, but who are they to judge me?
Yeah, I mean, what are
I mean, they can all go to hell. They don't pay my bills.
No, you got a point.
And that's that.
Happy Monday, everyone. Happy, I guess, Labor Day really is what it is. And once again, we're having a problem with Facebook. This is just ridiculous. I'm stuck here with this ridiculous dilemma of dealing with Facebook streaming onto there. And it's not like I've been shadow banned yet. Hey, Scott. Hey, Paul. What are you guys doing today? Is anyone at a barbecue or doing anything fun? Anything? No? Okay. Yeah, it's Monday. It's a special Monday. It's Labor Day Monday. It's the Monday before the H2O show in New Jersey, the Hustle Mania, which I'm really looking forward to, and seeing old friends and new friends. This green tea does not have me amped. Hey, Tony, how are you today? So what's new, everyone? How's everyone going? How's everyone doing this weekend? I know it's been a really long weekend. I feel as though people think this is some kind of a weekend to I don't know, get retarded and be stupid. I mean, technically, you could drink any day of the week, even if you have work the next day, and, you know, still be a colossal screw-up, because that's how the world works, isn't it? I don't know. I've been watching a lot of the, I'm just texting with our current guest is going to be here soon. It's been insane. So I'm getting ready now to, I don't know, to do this whole election counting. I'm actually going to be working at the election polls this year. I think a lot of people should sign up to be poll workers at your local polling station for the election this year. I think it pays like about $100 or something, 100 and something. But I feel as though it's just for the sake of the integrity of fairness, you know, and to see what happens in these elections. I know the last time I worked at one of these, it didn't go over very well because we had a few problems. First of all, by law, whenever someone comes in, okay, in California, you're not supposed to show your ID. You don't even have to ask for it, but I did that anyway. Then one guy admitted to me that he had his mail-in ballot. Hey, JMAP, what's up? Is that Jamal? Did you change your name? Okay. So regardless, the guy announced that he had his mail-in ballot with him, but he still wanted to vote. Okay, in that case, you're supposed to bring in your mail-in ballot. And this Nimrod didn't want to do that, but the poll worker still let him vote and didn't even give a provisional ballot like they're supposed to. So approaching the guy as he left the polling station maybe was my first mistake, because I did tell him you're supposed to give that back. Like, you have to give us your mail-in ballot so you don't vote twice. And lo and behold, I mean, he did give it back, but it was just the whole maybe leaving the polling station premise and going out into the street, threatening him about just trying to get the mail-in ballot back was the whole problem. But I encourage everyone to sign up this year if elections matter to you. Maybe they don't matter to you, you know? Maybe it doesn't make a difference what happens. But anyway, everyone knows that I like to have different guests on the show. I took a break this week from Crazy Train. It's back this upcoming Wednesday. If you do like what you're seeing on here, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube page. Go through this stuff, click likes, super likes, whatever. And make sure you always catch up on the restreams of these, because there seems to be a lot of views coming in on that. So I hope everyone's enjoying the content. Make sure to subscribe to the page, and also to go on Apple and Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts, and subscribe to Crazy Train with Jasmin St. That's crazy with a K. I just had Mickey Lynn on my show this past week. We did the interview, but it's not out yet. She is a total blast from the past. So my next guest, Victoria Peaks, she was actually a math teacher, I believe, a school teacher of some type, then decided to get into adult. I don't exactly know what her journey is, but I met her through Mickey Lynn, I know during the pandemic, there were a lot of people that were tourists, is what I like to call them. Yeah, I just like to call them tourists, and that's what I refer to as some of these girls that just hopped on in the business and, decided, hey, I want to be a part of this. I want in. And, that's not really how it works. I mean, maybe it is now, maybe it isn't, but who knows? Did anyone do anything spectacular this weekend or just stick around? Okay. Paul, I know you're probably out and about in Pennsylvania. Mr. J-Mac, tell us about you. Where are you from, Mr. J-Mac? And Mr. Tony Mullenix, where are you from? I see a few new faces in here. I know some people just hop on here and don't want to show themselves, which brings me to another point. You did Uber, and how was Ubering on Saturday? Was that Uber Eats as well, or just dropping people off to parties? In the meantime, brings me to another point. If you decide to ever threaten someone, at least spell their name right and at least have the grammar properly when you threaten me publicly. That's all, or even just in my inbox. That's all I'm saying. Memphis has great barbecue. Okay, I was in Gatlinburg before. I love Gatlinburg. I don't know if it's still the same as it was before. I have no idea. Ubering was trying to get laid in 2024. If you're a pathetic American pig, maybe. But Memphis is a great town. It's a great wrestling town. It's a great town for shows. It's a great town for a lot of things. Hey, Joe, how are you? I see that you still didn't get a haircut and you probably didn't bathe since the last wrestling show you've been to, which is typical. This is what typical of Cushion American. So that's what we call them. So my next guest, so she was a math teacher. I don't know how much work you can get done having a math teacher that looks like this. I don't know about anyone else in here. How many of you actually had math teachers with double D breasts that were biological women? Probably none of us, right? I think we had one hot teacher in the school. She wore frosty blue eye makeup. I think she was the Guidette. She had the black Farrah Fawcett hair. She always wore really strong perfume, which I thought might have been kind of slutty for to teach second and third graders. And Mr. Mullenix, Tony, where are you from? So we got Memphis, we got Jersey, we got Pennsylvania, Texas. And for the unknowns out there that are just staring, I have my two counters. I have the private counter and the public counter. I could see where some of you are from and stalking in from. And Tony, I'm curious as to where you're from because you're new on here. You are a new face, and don't worry, we're not gonna send people to your house. But yeah, getting back to this whole thing of threats, right? It's insane. You don't send people to potentially kill someone, and then those same people that show up at your doorhouse are people that you actually know. What are the odds of something like that happening? Anyway, we'll discuss that later. So my next guest is Victoria Peaks, and I guarantee you, none of you have had school teachers that look like this. I don't think any of my teachers look like this at all. I really can't think of any. The only other hot teacher I had was Madame Mel. She did French literature, and that was an AP class. Then I had a really horrible teacher, a horrible math teacher named Mr. King, who would basically emotionally destroy kids in school for geometry. Probably because he didn't have a dick up his ass that night. Okay, let's welcome to the show Victoria Peaks. Hi. Oh my God.
I can't hear you.
Oh no! Oh my God. Okay, let's see. Well, then something's wrong with this. Okay. Can everyone else hear me out there?
Let me see.
I'll keep moving my lips.
I'm not muted. I just can't hear you.
Okay, so then let's see. I don't know how these technical things work, guys. Let's see. Edit microphone settings. I'm going to edit your microphone settings. Okay, I got that. Okay, you got echo cancellation. Okay. I don't know what's going on from your end. I guess go into your settings. Actually, great JMac. Do you know how to adjust these things at all? Well, Joe, I'm sure you could hear her. Duh. Okay, she's gonna come back in. She just shut down. Anyway, getting back to this whole thing, right? You're gonna like this. Imagine being so envious of someone that you put a hit out on her just when she gets back into the country from being like in Europe all summer. And the same people you send out there to harm this person are like people this person knows. And it goes like belly down. Anyway, here she is. She's back. Joe, sadly you hear her, but sadly we see you. No, I'm joking. Okay. Hi, can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
I love your lips in the background. That is so sexy.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I'm known for my red lipstick, so it just is fitting.
Now, are your boobs real?
Actually, no, they're not. I got my boobs done when I was a teacher. I was growing up, I was always an athlete. So I was a gymnast and I was a track runner. So I never had big boobs. But then like after I like got pregnant and being big boobs with pregnancy and breastfeeding, all that stuff, I was like, you know what? I want big boobs. So after I had all my kids, I was like, I want more. So yeah, I got implants when I was a teacher.
I'm feeling you because like I had a reduction a few years ago. I was a 36D, like double D. Now I'm like a 34C. I'm like, Jesus, it's just life's not the same anymore. So I'm gonna get mine done again into I want like I don't know, a 36D, I think. What size are those? Are those like a double E or
No, these are actually only technically D's.
uh-huh.
But a lot of like producers and photographers are like, no, those are double D's, honey. But I mean, technically they're D's according to the plastic surgeon. So I was like, I don't want it so big that it hurts my back, but I want big to make me feel like I'm, beautiful in a mirror. So yeah, that's how they've been forever.
Well,
Huh?
Joe, this guy in the chat, Joe Beasler, he's like a mobile masseuse. So I'm sure he'd be more than happy to come over and do your back if you have back problems. But who would concentrate if you have breasts like that? Like, what were you teaching? Math?
I was a math teacher. Yeah, I was.
How old were these kids?
High school, I taught everywhere between algebra 1, freshmen, all the way through calculus seniors. So I was straight up, I had ninth graders, I had 10th graders in my algebra 2 class, my pre-calc class had my juniors, and then my calculus had my seniors. So I taught all of high school.
What state would allow this? I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be rude, but that's like a heavy distraction, I think.
I mean, I was just a normal person teaching. I wasn't in the industry teaching. I mean, I was a swinger while I was teaching, but I wasn't really in the industry teaching. I never, I didn't get caught with a naughty video and get fired. I was just a teacher. I mean, I had low cut shirts, but I also had to go by the dress code also. So it is what it is. I wish I had a nickel for every time I was proposed to, because then I would be really rich right now.
All the students proposed to you?
I had several students propose to me. Yeah.
It's so cute. But hey, I mean, like every time I open up Yahoo News, I see the hero teacher from like Florida, specifically these grown women who are having sex with these boys that are teenagers. Okay, yeah, it's sexual assault. All right, for the sake of this conversation. But I know there's not a guy in here right now that if you had a teacher that looked like that had sex with you, or at least motorboated you, you won't be running down the street. Sexual harassment. Did you know when you were a swinger, did you ever run into anyone from your school circle at a swingers club or any of these kids' parents?
I mean, yeah, I mean, I did. It was mainly the parents, not necessarily the students. I mean, when me and my husband were swingers, we don't have a local swingers club. So we'd have to drive like 2.5 hours just to get to a swingers club. But we would go to like local swingers parties and takeovers and things like that. And I mean, I saw a few like students' parents, but it was never really, we didn't talk about that part. Like it was like a different section of our life. Like it's not, you don't go to a swinger club and talk about your kids. It doesn't happen. So
You could have a PTA meeting. What about, how about other teachers? Were there other teachers at the swingers club?
Not at the swingers club, but I mean, they all knew what I did. My best friend still to this day is a teacher at the same high school that I taught at, and he still teaches there, and they all know what I do now as well. So, and he was like actually one of my biggest support. I was the best man in his wedding, actually.
All right, then. So
Yeah. So, I mean, he wasn't really at the swingers clubs, but you know, he definitely knew exactly what I was doing. Everybody knew what I was doing. Nobody ever shamed me for it. They're like, you know, you do you, you're great. So it is what it is. I never like got worried or anything like that. Being a teacher and a swinger at the same time, they didn't care as long as I was doing my job and doing it properly. So.
yeah, I'd much rather have my kids be around you than some of the shit I see in the schools these days. You know, not that I have kids. I'm just saying if I did, I'd much rather have them around someone that looks like you than there was some freak in Canada with like quadruple D's. I don't know if anyone has a photo they could put up in the chat that was transgender with like 90 double D boobs. I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, this is not what you put around kids. Sorry, but oh, they were clip-on boobs, like the clip-on ones, not the implants. Yeah, so yeah, they have like I guess it's a prosthetic you put on.
Oh
And
wow.
then you put a sweater over it. It looked like Frenchie from Greece with like quadruple D boobs.
I think I didn't know that was a thing, but yeah, I mean, I wasn't really, I mean, I just thought it was normal that, you know, students thought that their teacher was hot. I didn't think it was out of the ordinary. I didn't act on any of it. I really did not sleep with any of my students. I promise that. But did I have the chance to? Of course, I could have. But I just thought that was a normal thing that students had that opportunity and the teachers had that opportunity. But it's whether you act on it or not.
Yeah,
Mhm.
no, I wouldn't think you would, but there's certain teachers you could tell that would do something like that. I mean, going into private schools, like we had the gay math teacher I just discussed. Oh my
Mhm.
God, what a pedophile pervert. Like, I hope his dick falls off if it hasn't already. Um,
Mm.
yeah, some of the young kids. I mean, I think he was dating the drama teacher, is what it was. So in theater, like they both had bitchy attitudes. It was really interesting, but yet they were dating, right? But then you come in there acting like a prick. But I think the math teacher was worse than the drama teacher. So I don't know what bitch stuff was going on at home with them. When did you get into adult films?
It's been right at about 3 years actually, that I've been in the adult porn world, you know, shooting porn and, you know, doing my naked thing. About 3 years now. It's yeah. In 2 months it'll be 3 years. So I'm gonna call it 3 years. Mhm.
Was this a pandemic choice or a COVID income choice that you made?
Actually, it had nothing to do with the pandemic. I was still teaching during the pandemic. I taught online. I honestly didn't even know what OnlyFans was during the pandemic. When everything shut everything down, I was still teaching from my computer at home, and it was tough, but I have 2 degrees and neither one of them's in education. I was always unhappy with my choice. What happened was I loved being with, I have kids and I loved being on the same schedule as them. And it was something that it fell into my lap. I was really good at it and it was a paycheck. So I took it. And, you know, 10 years of doing this, it just weighed on me. There's times that I would show up to work 30 minutes early and I would go into work about 10 minutes late because I was in the parking lot debating, like, do I really want to go in there? Do I not? Do I want to drive home? Like it was, and it's not the students. I love the students. I love teaching. I actually homeschooled after I quit teaching for a while. I do love the students. I love the teaching aspect, but the politics in teaching, I just couldn't handle it. And the better the teacher you were, the more responsibilities they gave you. And the more responsibilities they gave you, they didn't give you extra pay for that. So it was like the better you were at your job, the worse it was on you. And I couldn't handle that anymore, to a point where like my mom messaged me. It was my daughter's birthday, and she was like, what does your daughter want for, her birthday? And I was like, I don't know, color's pink, and she's this and that. And so my mom bought her all these gifts and sent it to her, and my daughter was like, I don't even like pink. And I was like, what? So I had about 150 to 160 students per semester, and I could tell you the favorite color, I could tell you the boyfriend, their girlfriend, I could tell you what they were into, their hobbies and everything. But I got my own daughter's favorite color wrong. And that was when I know, you know what? I'm done. Nope, I can't do this anymore. So I quit.
Yeah, that happens. I mean, I feel as though when people have longer days spent with coworkers, that's where the majority of your relationships are with people, not like sexual or anything like that, but that's where there's a bond built. Sometimes there's some people that work all the time, they have closer relationships with their work partners than, at home, than husbands or wives. Now, you taught calculus. That's a special skill. Like, I took calculus in high school. That was a really tough class, by the way. I thought geometry was tough, but my God, calculus was it for me. What do you actually do with calculus? Like, I've not used it to this day.
Well, I love calculus. I'm a big nerd. I'm a geek. I really love calculus. I was that teacher that got really excited to teach, especially like when you're going from limits to teaching them the derivative laws. I'm over here and I'm like really giddy, and they're like, why are you so excited? And I'm like, because this is amazing how it just works out so perfectly. I would get really excited about it. But really in life, in life, you might not use calculus. You might not use, how to solve for X. You might not use the algebra or the analysis or the calculus skills that you learn in high school. But what you do learn is how to solve a problem, how to take a problem and look at it and see, okay, well, if I do this, this, and this, it'll take me here. But if I do this, this, and this, it'll take me here. It teaches you those skills to solve problems. So yeah, you might not be using calculus, but have you ever done a calculus problem? They're at least a half a page to a full page long before you get to the answer. And it's different steps. Okay, well, every problem in life, it's not just a simple answer. You have to go here, and then you're going to have to go here, and then you're going to have to go here. And that's the skills that math in high school builds for you. And that's what I try to teach my students. I was like, you're never going to need a limit in your life. You're never going to need to know how to do that. But what you are going to need to know how to do is when you are faced with a problem, how to come up with different ways that you can come up with it. And that's why I have always been so passionate about mathematics. One of my degrees is actually in mathematical sciences. And I'm like, if you look at life, it's the only thing in life that ever works out perfectly. Like, life never works out the way you want it to be. But in math, there's only one answer. There's 100 ways to come up with that answer, but there's only one answer. So that's kind of how I taught my students. I taught them it's not about the content that you're learning. It's about the skills that you're learning to get to that answer. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay, so you just taught me a lot about myself, because I'm very calculating with things. Like, I think about the ways I see something, and I just think about the different ways. Okay, if we do this, if we do X, Y, it's not going to go to Z. It might go to C or D. So how do we get to Z if we do X, Y, or A, B, C? Like, how do we get there? And I always think of it, and I'm a real stickler when it comes to writing and grammar, punctuation, like everything. Yeah. I was just talking about that prior to you getting on here. I had someone send me a death threat. Can you believe this girl couldn't even spell my name properly, and she used really poor grammar? I'm like, dude, like, get it right. Like, this is stuff you learn when you're a child. Now, getting back to math, going to geometry, when you go to geometry classes, you never think about, okay, when am I going to use postulates, ASA, SAS? Was ASS like angle side? Was that a postulate? Was that an angle?
I didn't really teach geometry very much. I was more analytical than visual. It's a different type. Honestly, geometry is a different type of brain than like algebra is. It really is a different type of brain. It's like, history versus English. Like you have geometry and then you have your algebra and your analytics, right? But when it comes to like the angle side and all that stuff like that, it's just a matter of comparing two things. It's a matter of taking two things that are similar or not similar, and finding, me and you are two different people, but we have a lot of similarities. We have a lot of differences as well, and that's just what geometry teaches you. It just teaches you how to look at what makes you unique and how to figure it out. Like, that's all.
That's a very good way of looking at it. I feel like you should still be teaching math or at least tutoring, like under a different name or something.
I still tutor on the side if it's needed, but at this point, everybody and their mothers know exactly what I do. So, but they also know I'm good at what I do. Like, I was the only like teacher in my school that could take regular ed and special ed students and have 100% pass rate on the end of year testing. So, like, I was good at what I did because I didn't look at the students as students. I didn't go to college to be a teacher, so I don't know like the books on how to be a teacher. I came into teaching as I started as like a long-term sub, and then I did like the back door. I got like a provisional license before I got the license because I had a mathematics degree. And so when I got into teaching, I just approached them like they were my own kids and how I would explain it to them. So I mothered my students instead of being like that superior teacher student. I was a mom. That's how I looked at it, and I think that's what made me successful. And I respected my students, and to me in my class, mistakes were welcome. I make mistakes, you make mistakes, and it's welcome. Don't be ashamed of them. You own up to them and you learn from them. That's what we do. And I just had a safe space in my class. So was I hard on them? Yeah, of course. Every kid needs to be accountable for what they do. But in the long run, after they left my class and they succeeded, they were appreciative of all the tough love I gave them.
That's interesting. I taught French to children of incarcerated parents when I was a teenager. So it was
Wow.
for a nonprofit organization that my friend's mother ran. A lot of these kids, their parents were Black Panthers. They were in jail for political things like that. And it was
Mhm.
such a weird thing, like learning French, because these kids were from the inner city. They don't necessarily know, what are they going to do with French? But it's the weirdest thing ever because to this day, I stayed in touch with one of the students, and she actually went to college in France after all of that, which was amazing. I'm surprised she even found me. I'm like, how did you find me? Well, I found you on Mama May's page and I knew your photos and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, wow. But it was so
Yeah.
tough being around them. Some of them just didn't want to learn. Some of them were just really like hard-headed. And you're like a kid yourself, like teaching kids that are probably like a few years younger than you.
Yeah. I mean, when I was 20, I would say maybe 26 years old, I was teaching 18-year-olds. So to me, seniors in high school are 18. Like, they're adults. So some of them are 17. It's like, it's according like the when your birthday lies. But yeah, I was very, and the way kids are now, especially the boys, like the football team, Jesus, I would be like, listen here, up there. So they were taller than me, they were bigger than me, but I mean, they respected me and I respected them. And that level of respect is what you need in order to. I approached them as I wanted to be something in their life that didn't order them around. They have enough of that in their life. I was somebody to guide them, and it helped. It worked. I loved my students. I do. If it wasn't for the politics, I could really see myself staying and teaching, even with the terrible pay. But the politics in it was just too much. Mhm.
When you say politics, is it the method of teaching people were using? Was it just differences in the way things should be or the curriculum? Define politics in education.
Okay, so yeah, when it comes down to it, as a teacher, I was graded also. If I didn't have a good percentage of passing, a pass percentage at the end of the year, then I could get in trouble. It could hurt my pay. It could hurt, I could go on probation. There's a lot of things that could happen if I didn't meet a certain criteria. But if you did above that, they didn't give you anything extra. So it came to a point where the teachers were teaching to a test. And me, not being an education background, I was like, why would I ever teach it this way? This is dumb. And you hear the teachers or the students all the time come in and be like, well, I got the right answer, but I didn't do it the way the teacher wanted, so I got it wrong. And that's because, in the end of the year testing, which is created by people that's never stepped foot in a classroom before, is asking you these questions on this particular method instead of on the right answer. And that's why I didn't like that. Like, just let me teach these kids math. No, I have to teach it this way. And because at the end of the year testing, they're going to say, what's the next step? Not what's the answer. And being someone that is like, I was a mathematical scientist. I did mathematician work before I became a teacher. So I'm like, I am that person. Like, there's 101 different ways to get this answer. Why does it matter how they do it? I can do it one way, but you can do it the next way. But there's one answer. As long as you're not creating your own thing, as long as you're abiding by the rules and the laws of mathematics, why is it not acceptable? Which is why in my classroom, I would teach the way they would teach. They would tell me to teach them, but I would accept it if they gave me something else, as long as they showed their work. If you show me how you came up with that answer, you didn't have to do it the way I taught you. It was okay. But then I would talk to them personally about, well, this is correct. You're not wrong. And I'm not going to make you wrong just because you did it in a different way. But at the end of the year, this is the question they're going to ask you on the test. And if you don't do it this way, you're going to get it wrong on that test. And that was the politics that I hated. And plus there was the behavior issues. Like, some of the admin would be friends. Like, students would get in trouble just to go to the principal's office because they got candy and soda. Like, I would get in trouble just so I could go. I didn't want to sit in math class. I want to go have candy and soda. So it was very inconsistent in the admin. So that was another issue. You coming at me and saying, I want your lesson plans to look like this, and I want you to write, my job description is not even to write a curriculum, but yet I wrote 3 or 4. So are you going to pay me to write this curriculum? And if I give you lesson plans, why does it have to look the way you want it to? This is what I'm doing. If you have any questions, just ask me. So, if you have a problem with my class, come watch it. Come teach it for me. And there was a lot of issues there. And it was true. Like, I had a very good pass percentage rate. So I would be teaching Algebra 1 first block, right? And another teacher would be teaching Algebra 1 first block that didn't have a good percentage rate. I'd have 27 to 35 kids in my class, but the guy next door that didn't have 100% pass rate, that had maybe a 50% pass rate, only had like 12 kids in their class. Why is that fair?
Yeah, that's more than half. No, that's you have 27, 30 kids. Yeah, that's half in his
class. And they
class.
would have 12 to 16. Same period. Why can't you take some of them and distribute? Because they knew I would teach them and they would pass with me. So they made it harder for me to teach, because once you have 30 to 35 kids in your classroom, you're doing more classroom management, teenagers at this. You're doing more classroom management than you are teaching at that point. And it just made me, it was just too much stress for me, too much anxiety. And that's how, I was able to manage my students, because I got to know them. But putting my heart and soul into teaching, I had to put my family on the back burner.
Yeah.
And when I came to that realization, that's when I stopped. That's why I stopped teaching. It wasn't to shoot porn. It wasn't to do naughty videos. I didn't get fired because I was on the New York Times. Like, that didn't happen. I chose to quit what I was doing. And I chose to get into porn. I wasn't forced into it.
I could tell because you're a very smart person, and everyone always thinks, oh, well, someone forced you to do this. It's like, no. Everything I've ever done was totally my idea because we're smart. Like, we get it. Yeah, I feel as though this reminds me of the movie School of Rock with Jack Black. I don't know if you've seen that movie.
Yes, I am.
Hey, they passed, even though they put on one hell of a concert. Um,
Yeah.
They really did. So how did you discover like a way to get into the adult business and get it, like have that platform? Was that Mickey Lynn that introduced you to that, or did you find it different?
Actually, no, it wasn't Mickey Lynn that introduced me. Mickey Lynn was a person that I met when I was getting into the industry that helped me really see the do's and the don'ts in the industry. I actually, it was a cop that I taught with, actually. Yeah, it was a cop, yeah, that taught me about OnlyFans and ManyVids and, porn. And I was like, what? Like, because when I was younger, I was a VIP subscriber to Playboy magazine. I
Oh,
loved the way that Playboy magazine just made a woman's body look beautiful. Not necessarily sexual, it did that too, but it was a beauty and it was classy of a woman's body. And, it could be, this month it was someone with big boobs and the next month was somebody with small boobs. And you know what? They were all beautiful ladies, right? But when I obviously quit teaching, my husband looked at me because I was looking for jobs back in the mathematician world. I was looking at analytics. I have my second degree is in mass communication. So I was like, even let me look into marketing. Let me look into something. Because of COVID, nobody was hiring. So that's when my husband looked at me and was like, what is one thing that you always wanted to do that you've never got a chance to do? And I was like, well, I've always wanted to be a Playboy centerfold. And he was like, really? And I was like, yeah. I was like, I looked up to these women in this magazine. And I had this conversation I was hanging out with one of the cops that I taught with. He taught criminal justice in the high school that I probably just totally outed him with saying that. But he's still part of the sheriff's office. And he told me, he's like, well, have you ever heard about OnlyFans? I was like, no, what the heck is that? Like, if the students don't teach me, I don't know anything about the new technology, right? So they're like, yeah, OnlyFans. You could be your own magazine. I was a swinger, so I had like 101 different videos of me swinging. No stranger in front of a camera. So I'm like, all right, we could do this. So I started an OnlyFans. And then OnlyFans doesn't advertise for your OnlyFans. So I had to do my own advertisement. So this wonderful cop, he went ahead and he showed me how to start a Twitter. He started my Instagram. He started me and Reddit and all these things that I don't even know how to use still to this day. And he was like, okay, well, we started this and we're going to get you running. We're going to get you going. And I was like, okay. So he taught me how to use it. And so I started posting my photos. And then my fans, my like 2 subscribers that I had, when you first start out, it's very little. And they're like, well, do you have any videos? And I was like, well, I do, but I have to call them and ask them to sign an auto release. Because my swinger videos, we didn't think about all that stuff. But then, so I started advertising my OnlyFans on my social media. And then I actually had like amateur and pro amateur producers message me and like, hey, I would love to work with you. And I'm like, well, I don't shoot porn. I just take pictures. And they're like, are you sure? And I was like, you know what? Let's do this. So I finally did a blowjob scene with Jack Lava. And when I did my first blowjob scene, he told me about Exotica.
Oh.
And he did a bunch of photos for me. We did a blowjob scene. It was amazing. And he's like, well, why don't you go to Exotica and you can learn and you can meet people in the industry and you can really step foot there. I was like, okay, let's do that. So I went to my first Exotica, which is DC. And I just went as a ladies free night because I had to go to Polar Express the next day with my family. So we went to ladies free night and I looked around. I went to a few seminars. I met a few people and I was like, okay, well, this is cool, but it was the VIP after party. I was dancing. I was dancing, and because I love to dance, I was dancing, I was drinking, I was having a good time, and I'm dancing with people like Alex Cole and Mickey Lynn and all these people. I'm like, I don't know who these people are. So I'm just dancing, I'm having a good time. And it was Sean Elliott who actually first really set me down and talked to me. And he was like, I have somebody I want you to meet. And that's when I met Mickey Lynn officially. I was like, oh, I've been dancing with her all night. And then from there, Mickey and Vicky has been a thing for like we've been inseparable since. I absolutely adore her. She's been my mentor. She's the one that's really taught me the do's and don'ts. Like if I have somebody reach out to me, I'll go to her and I'll be like, "Hey, is this person real or are they trying to fake me?" There's a lot of fakeness in this industry. There's a lot of predators out there, and Mickey taught me how to sort through them, and she taught me how to make money in the business. Like I was giving way too much out for free, and she was like, "Girl, how you expect to sell it when you're doing this?" And there's a lot of that in this industry. So Mickey Lynn is she's my best friend. She's my wifey. That's what we call each other. She's my wifey. She's my best friend. She's my everything. And if it wasn't for her to really use, her connections to introduce me to some of the most remarkable people in the industry. And then she sponsors me for Exoticas. I sign at her booth, which makes me learn even more people and meet even more people in the industry. And that's really, I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for Mickey Land. Because she has really showed me the do's and don'ts, because she knows what she's doing. That woman, she knows. She hustled in the 90s and she knows how to do it now. So that's how I met Mickey. It was just through an Exotica. I'd already been in porn, well, slightly in porn. I did like one blowjob scene, but that's how I met her. And then from there we just took off. We really connected. She reminds me of myself and I remind her of herself. She's like, if you were me in the 90s. And I was like, yeah, that's me.
Yeah, I met her then in the 90s. Like I didn't go to a lot of I wasn't as friendly as most people were, or as friendly and as positive as you were. I mean, I went to one Exotica in New Jersey and there's this
Mhm.
dancing shit going on. I'm like, I sat there and they're like fans dancing. I'm like, just get the fuck away from me, or I will pour that drink on your face. Then I
Mhm.
went to sign at the table the next day. People still bought stuff. I swear, like the whole dominatrix thing is where I missed my calling. Nikki, I feel like could coach me on that. Like it's just. And sorry for my lighting. This is a very low rent version of Jasmine today because it's a holiday weekend. But I always come here because I love doing this on Mondays and I love seeing people. And guys, don't forget to always keep up on the restreams and check out the OnlyFans for Victoria Peaks and keep up on the restreams on here because there are a bunch of other very interesting guests. A lot of people are traveling this weekend. Does your family know what you do?
Yeah.
You
Yeah, they do.
really?
I'm from Tennessee, but I grew up really in Kentucky in the mountains. And after about a year and a half in the industry, when I started getting noticed like in public, I was like, you know what? I think it's time for me to like really open up to my parents. And so I actually took a trip to Kentucky specifically to sit my parents down face to face and be like, this is what I'm doing now. Um, and they're like, okay, so I still love you, and my dad, I'm a daddy's girl. So really when he looked at her husband knows, right? And I'm like, yeah, he knows, he's supportive, and he goes, are you happy? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, are you safe? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, do you know what? I taught you to be, he goes, I might not agree with it. I don't want my little girl, shooting porn. But he goes, if you're safe and you're happy, I taught you to be an independent woman. And that's exactly what you're doing. So I cannot shame you for that. So my dad's 100% supportive. My mom, they don't go out and watch and advertise, but they definitely have a few Victoria Peak shirts in their wardrobe, and they'll wear them to bingo from time to time.
I want to go to
But
I want to go to bingo.
I love bingo. I'm the only person that has went to Las Vegas so many times, and I've never ever gambled. And I'm like, oh, I go to there to work. I don't go there to gamble. And I'm like, oh, is there a bingo hall?
It's funny because I love Tennessee. I like Gatlinburg. I collected vintage Barbie dolls, like the 1959, 60s, 70s, like specifically 60s and early 70s Barbie dolls. So I went to a toy show in Gatlinburg. I felt as though I was in a magical mystery fairy tale land. I don't know if it's still the same. People were really nice.
Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge are some of probably the most unspoken places that are amazing in America, because you can get cabins there that just have views to die for. And when people are like, "Oh, I want to go to the beach," or "I want," nobody ever thinks to go to the mountains. Like, it's just beautiful. It's absolutely stunning there. And there's a lot of those that it takes you life now with technology and with the cities and all this. It's so fast paced. It's nice to sit back in the mountains and go at your own pace. It's slow. If you want to read a book, it's okay, and you still of the day. It doesn't take up your whole day. It is nice to be. It's nice to slow down sometimes, and that to me is what the mountains do for me. So Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg, Kentucky, all those places. That's what that does to me.
It sounds very relaxing, but I would never announce too much to people, especially these Hollywood fuck faces, because they'll just go there and ruin it. You get the little TikTokers, "Oh my God, I'm going to make a video of this and like post it and tag it, and like everyone's going to come down here." A lot of people have ruined Santorini Island in Greece, unfortunately. That is a tiny island, and now they have to cater to at least 8,000 tourists a day. Now that means they have to change things around, and it's just this whole thing. I have this whole ornery view of just people infiltrate, just going to places and just ruining them when they're just beautiful and just homely and cute. Like, let's leave the little storytell villages alone. So Paul wants to know your favorite and least favorite adult film stars that you've worked with. I know your favorite's Mickey, if you've worked with her. Yeah.
I have worked with her. We just released a video together for the 4th of July. I love working with Mickey. Least favorite? I don't really know if I have a least favorite. I have not ever been on set where I've left and I'm like, "I hate this." Like, that was awful. Like, I do not have a least favorite. I really love what I do. But my most favorite, I've worked with some amazing people. Rodney St. Cloud, I'm telling you, this muscle man now in the adult industry, he is amazing. Like, anytime I get a chance to go near him, I'm like, "You want to work? You want to work? You want to work?" And he's really great. Mickey, I love working with her, but mine and Mickey's relationship is so much deeper than work. Like, she's my best friend. She's my soulmate in porn. Like, that's who she is. So of course I love working with her. Oh, there's so many people that I love working with that I don't even know how to respond to that. Like, I don't have a favorite. I love them all. And I definitely don't have a least favorite, because I've never walked away from set being like, "Oh, that was work." I've never done that. I'm enjoy what I do.
That is the cutest thing. I'm sorry. This is so funny. I've never, I meet a lot of positive people in this business, but this is definitely up there with positivity, with loving everyone and everything. It sounds almost like an old school AVN show. "Oh my God, I just want to thank everyone. I love everyone." It's cute. It's refreshing, actually, because you hear so many horror stories like nowadays. But also, you've been doing this for 3 years. You've done Exoticas. What are your thoughts on Exoticas? Okay, so when we did conventions, you charge for everything. And like the last Exotica I went to, you had girls that should have been on this website, freebitch.org. They're like flashing their titties for free. They're literally dry humping guys like a fucking lunatic. One girl was in the hotel pool dry humping some guy, practically some redheaded psycho. It's just, you get all kinds of wackos that do stuff for nothing. What are your thoughts on this? Because you're trying to make money from this, for fuck's sake.
Well, there is difference in this industry. Exoticas is one of those things where I never thought that I'd have to charge someone for my autograph. until I was giving away free autographs. And then I saw like 50 of my photos that I've signed free of charge on a website for like $50. And I'm like, where's that money coming from? I ain't seeing that money. And that's one thing that I was taught, the hard way, that, you have to charge, because if you don't, they're going to go sell and they're going to make $50. If they pay me 10 for my signature, they're still making $40. So, that was weird for me to have to charge for. And if I get noticed outside in like public and they're like, hey, I would love to get your autograph, I'll sign something, but I'm not going to sit here and sign like 15 photos for you. Like, I know what you're doing with those photos. Nobody needs 15 photos of me but me. And so it is different. And in this day and age in the industry completely, there's so many people giving it away for free. Pornhub is free. Twitter is officially a porn site at this point, or X now. I can go to X right now and I can see people I can see cum shots getting cum all over them. I'm like, this is given away for free. So to me, to try to sell it, it's harder to sell, and we do have to start selling ourselves short. So we have to sell it at a smaller price than what they typically would in the past. But that's just the day and age, and that's the difference between a porn star, content creator, OnlyFans person. Like, if you have an OnlyFans and you're giving everything away for free on X, then you're not going to have subscribers. And until they realize that, they're going to keep giving it away for free. So it's like almost as if you want to take them and be like, hey, if you stop giving this away for free, you're going to start making more money over there. But that's the way the industry is now. Anybody with a cell phone can be a content creator. Anybody that's ever been in front of a video and fucked can call themselves a porn star. Honey, you've never been on set before. Let me tell you, these cameras, I give them props. Like, cameras work their ass off all day, whether they're fucking themselves or whether they're bringing somebody else in and they're like, yeah, tip me $10, because they're working their ass off and they're working hard in order, I give it props. Every part of this industry is different. If you're just a content creator on OnlyFans and Loyal Fans and Fansly and all that, and you're doing content share with people because you need the content, that's great. If you're a porn industry person, if you're an adult entertainer and you are on porn sets and you're, working, this scene and that scene, you need this shot and that shot, it hurts your body, because you know what? If it doesn't hurt, it's not a good shot. But then you have your cameras that are constantly in front of the cam and interacting with these people, constantly interacting with people. A lot of people don't even like people. And yet these girls are interacting with them all day long. Like, it's different sections. The adult industry is not just porn anymore. And if you have someone giving it away for free, then that's their niche and it separates from mine. I know what I want to succeed in. If I want to sell a video of me getting cummed on my face, I'm not going to post on social media me getting cummed on my face. It's just the part, and I have to learn that if I don't give some away for free, Pornhub has the traffic, right?
Yeah.
So I give a little bit away for free, and then it makes them say, oh, I like her. Let me see what she has. And then possibly I could get that person to come over and subscribe.
You're frozen.
For free.
There you are, yeah.
Just the hustle is different. It's harder.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the ethical, ways of Pornhub. I've had people on the show like Vic Legina and other people who just kind of question their ethical behavior at Pornhub and a lot of these free clip site and so forth. Do you think porn stars that escort destroy their value in that business? Because some girls start off as escorts and they go into OnlyFans. Years ago, you first had a body of work before you went out escorting, and I guess that increased your hourly rate.
I mean, 90% of the business escorts. Like, nobody that does porn is getting shoots, 5 days a week. It's, it's a hustle. You have to, if I work really well with a certain company, like there's people that are like producers that I shoot with regularly. Rodney St. Cloud is one of them. Chick Path Amateurs is another one. Money Shot Films is another one. These are people that I work with regularly, but I know I'm not the only girl they're going to work with. So I know that they're not going to pay me my rate every single week. That's just unrealistic. So when I find girls that I love working with, like Kyla Keys is amazing, Valentina Bellucci is amazing, Misty Rain is amazing.
Wait, Misty Rain?
Misty Rain is,
She's
she's
still
beautiful. Yeah, she's coming back.
Oh my God, is she still with Chad?
I don't know. I just looked at pussy. I don't know.
Oh my
So
God.
and people like Kendra Hart, Misty, Kyle, I'm working with these girls and I have good connections with them. So you know what I'm going to do? I was like, hey, when you're in town, there's this person. When you're in town, there's this person, because I trust to work with them. I know I'm not the only person that's going to be working with these companies, but I also know I'm not going to have a shoot every single week with every single one of these companies. So at that point, escorting is the way girls get their money in between. And I don't shame them for that at all, especially when you have a name for yourself out there. These fans will pay anything. The only thing that I say with girls that are escorting and doing porn at the same time is that when you're past certified, tested within that 7 or 14 days, don't escort. Shoot your porn. What you do outside of that, you be careful, use condoms, be safe, baby. You make money. But when it comes to, if I'm shooting with you today and you have a 2-day test, I want to make sure that you didn't have sex with someone last night that wasn't tested unprotected. So that's the only thing I have to say. I don't see an issue at all. If girls need to make their money, let them make their money. Right? I would never say anything about that. I support you 100%. But if you're tested, you should keep the circle tight. And then after the testing circle is over, you go make your money.
Yeah, go do what you want. So when you're saying Misty Rain, you're talking about the Misty Rain, like old school Misty Rain, right?
I'm not sure. She's a redheaded girl, long curly redhead.
Huh. There was a Misty in the 90s. I don't know if it's the same girl who I knew very well, and she was dating a male performer named Chad or whatever, or was a suitcase pimp or her husband. I'm not sure. It's kind of one and the same sometimes. But yeah, I'm gonna try to read. I'm curious, so I will go Google this girl now and see if it's the same person, because I would want to get a hold of her at some point. Other than that, I mean, it seems like you have a pretty positive attitude with everything, which is really great. Sometimes we get a lot of the younger girls and they have severe mental problems because I guess the social media attached to the porn. Do you ever feel that that's a challenge for you as well? You seem like a strong, level-headed person, by the way.
Thank you. This industry is hard. It's very cutthroat. The people that you think that are on your side are the ones that's going to stab you in the back the fastest. But you know what? That's not just porn. I had that happen to me in teaching. I saw my husband went through it when he was an industrial hygienist. I know that these things are happening in every job. And with porn, it just makes it a little bit harder for things. So there's very many people in the industry that I'm like, just get a therapist. Everybody in the industry, I would recommend. Anybody with a full-time job needs to see a therapist, because it's not just porn where it's cutthroat. You have social media always coming at you, like being always so vulnerable in front of the world. Like I have videos that has views on, and it's my hoo-ha out, and it's my tits bouncing, and it's me moaning, and I'm not everybody's cup of tea. So somebody's got to say something negative. I'm going to be your cup of tea, but I'm not going to be yours. And somebody's going to say something negative, but you have to take that negative and you have to just ignore it. And a lot of people cannot separate that. And it makes it really hard in the industry. And that's why we see so many young, talented, beautiful women in the industry just disappear. And I am one that I am here for support. So if there is anybody out there and you need help, I'm willing to help you because I love this industry. And it's not easy. But I think it's time for people in the industry to start standing together instead of, oh, I'm not going to tell anybody about this producer because it's very cutthroat. Instead of being cutthroat, we need to stand together because everybody hates porn stars, but everybody watches us. So it's one of those things where we give a special type of entertainment and everybody else hates us. We don't need to hate each other.
That's so true. I remember years ago, I was in San Francisco, and this was in the 90s. And there's this woman there. I'm like walking to my hair appointment. I was feature dancing that week. So I'm like between shows. There's like a noon show, then a 4 p.m. I'm like, let me go get my hair done. And this woman's standing there with her like 4 or 5-year-old child, a little girl, right? She's like, you're Jasmin, right? I'm like, yeah. So she's like, well, I saw you on Springer. I know what you did. I know about you. I'm like, wow. I said, you seem to be like such a good mom. Like, here you are trying to confront me. Just tell me why I shouldn't beat the living shit out of you. Oh, that's right. You have your kid here. It's like, sign up to be a better parent than go around judging people. And I feel bad for the girls that don't know how to handle it. Like back then, it was way different. When you got the criticism, you got the criticism. And this is why I have a problem with keyboard warriors, because just come out and tell me to my face. It's so much easier that way. More fun. Makes for a good little brawl, but it's an interesting business nowadays, and I encourage anyone to actually get help. My friend was begging me to go to therapy for the past 3 months because, okay, so on Instagram, all right, there are these AI cats like at the gym working out. Then they have videos of making drinks, riding motorcycles, and I kept posting them. He's like, dude, get help. They don't ride motorcycles. They do not mix drinks. I've been a member of Planet Fitness. Not one cat there. They don't work out. So yeah, maybe I should seek extra therapy for my cat obsession. Do you have any cats?
No, cats are your therapy. Leave it be. You're fine.
I know. My cats are like my bobblehead, like my Mike Lindell bobblehead. He shaved his mustache, though. It's like I feel like I've been gypped because this is signed by him, but like he shaved his mustache. So
now you need no mustache for him to sign.
You know what's funny about this, though, is like you see his silver cross. It's like it's so synonymous with him. It's like the funniest thing ever. Mike Lindell. But yeah, you're a very interesting person. You're one of the smarter ones for sure. You and Mickey, and she's a good person to stick around with and learn from, because you'll learn a lot from her and how to make money and make this a business, which it seems like you're doing very well at. Do you have anything unusual that you offer on OnlyFans? Like, do you read Shakespeare in your lingerie?
That's actually a good idea. I actually do. I have a live show on my OnlyFans and my loyal fans where I go live every Wednesday, and that's not normal. I am hearing from an OnlyFans point of view because a lot of girls don't go live regularly. Like I am every Wednesday, unless I'm like on an airplane or like I have no Wi-Fi. I am 100% every Wednesday night. I am live, and I don't cam in my live. It's not like, okay, I'll show you my titties for $10. Tip me $10. I'm going to show my titties. No, you got that on my wall. It's my live peep show is what I call it. So in the good old days, you would go to the strip club and you'd go to the room, and then the curtains would reveal this girl, and you would tip her and she'd play with herself. You'd tip her, and the live peep shows. Like the good old days. Well, that's what I do with my OnlyFans. I you could come in 10, 15 minutes after I've already been live, and you're going to come in and see a show. Like, it is squirting, it's fucking, it's coming, it's, drinking, it's winding down with Victoria every Wednesday. And I do live for all my subscribers can join live completely for free. It's part of your subscription. So that's probably one of the things that I do unique is I'm not asking for tips. I mean, definitely welcome if you want a tip, but I want you to come and I want you to have a good time with me. And the more you're putting into it as fans, the longer it lasts. Like sometimes it'd be 10, 15 minutes. Sometimes it'd be like an hour long. And I mean, there's been times and it's funny because my subscribers, my fans on there, they'll start counting every time I come or squirt. They're like, okay, there's one, there's two, there's three. So you see this chat counting, and it makes me get more into it. It really turns me on. And I'm also one of those that's like, I welcome dick pics. I really enjoy it. And like if you take a picture of your dick and you send it to me and there's like a picture of me in the background, then I know I'm the one that did that. So I love it. So I encourage my fans on OnlyFans, the paying subscribers, to, if you're whacking off to me, you're watching my video, I want you to send it to me. I want you to show me that you are whacking off to me. Send me that video. I don't care. I'll watch it and I'm going to love it. And I'm going to be like, you know what? I am so glad that I did that for you. That's why I'm here. I love it.
Wowzers. So Paul wants to know if you have any interesting travel or road stories during in your time in adult, which is current.
Interesting travel stories?
Or road stories if you travel much. I know you go to Exotica, right?
I do. I travel a lot. Interesting is probably gonna, like, I guess I do have this story because I'm very humble. I don't realize that there's kids. I look at a video, I'm like, oh, 1 million views. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. But in some people, that's like 1 million different people that's seeing you. So I don't really notice myself kind of being known as much as maybe I am. But I was in that airport one time and I was in like a little trolley and I had this big guy with a cowboy hat on and he was just staring me down and I got scared, like he was staring at me and I would look at him and he'd look away and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I am about to get like human trafficked here. Like he kept staring so hard at me. And then he stands up and he offers the seat to me and I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm good. I'm gonna stand up. And he's like, no, take it. And I'm like, okay. So I sit down and he's still staring and he's like contact with me, like staring. And I'm like, it's freaking me out at this point. And we get off of the trolley or whatever we were on and we go to our gate and he's literally like the gate next to me and he's still staring at me this whole time. And at this point, I'm scared. I'm like calling my husband. I actually called Mickey Lynn, and I'm like, somebody staring at me. I was like, somebody's staring at me. I don't know if I'm about to get, stolen or what's going on. But he's this big man, and I'm terrified. I'm traveling alone, and then finally he approached me, and he's like, "Can I ask you a question?" I'm like, "Nope, no, you can't." But inside, I'm like, "Sure, what's going on?" And he was like, "Are you Victoria Peaks?" And I'm like, what? He's like, are you Victoria Peaks? And I was like, yeah, I am. And he goes, I knew it was you. So he was staring at me the whole time, trying to contemplate if I was actually me or not. And it was terrifying me. And I told him, I was like, is that why you've been staring at me? He's like, yeah. I was like, it's so creepy. Like, and that's probably like the most entertaining story that I've had. And he's like, you're my hall pass. And I was like, what do you mean? And he goes, me and my wife watch you. And they're like, if I ever meet Victoria Peaks, you can fuck her and it's okay. And I was like, well, that's not going to happen in an airport. So I'm like, this is the conversation I'm having with this man. And I'm like, I'm so glad that I'm not getting, stolen right now and I'm not ended up on human trafficking, but it was funny. It was like the second or third time I was ever noticed in public and it was really creepy, but all in all, it came out pretty good. So I took a picture with him. And then I signed a napkin for his wife, and I was like, love your life together and all that stuff. So it was really nice to know that there's people out there. I'm somebody's hall pass. It's cool.
Well, I'm just laughing because I know, okay, guys, everyone knows that I'm against human trafficking, and it's no joke. I totally understand that. But when you just said someone's going to snatch you, I'm like, what? Is he going to pick you up like a blow up doll and just put you over his shoulder?
He was a huge guy. Like, literally, to stand next to him, I was looking up to him, and he had big muscles. Like, he was a huge man. And he was staring at me.
Was it JBL the wrestler, Bradshaw? Did he have a black cowboy hat on and like a big coat?
It was a black cowboy hat, but it was nobody famous. He was just a country boy traveling for work, and he was just trying to figure out who I was, like if I was really who I was. So, but the way he was staring at me, I got, because you always hear the horror stories about, traveling alone and, all this stuff. And it was in a big international airport, and I was scared. Because I was like, oh my gosh, it's about to happen to me.
I totally get it. Like, there are times when I was featuring, I was in Amarillo, Texas, at some fucking shit hotel that the club put me up, and some guy like knocked on my door. I'm calling the front desk, and I was traveling by myself. I just had no idea of the dangers of the world. Okay,
Yes.
whatever. He went away, but eventually I started traveling with someone. But that's was it in a concealed carry state? Was it in Texas? Where was it?
If I'm not, it was in Washington, D.C.
Oh, never mind. I don't think.
It was at the Dulles Airport, actually. Yeah.
I wonder if it was a politician or someone like that. Probably not. That would have been more interesting if it was like Secret Service, but they wouldn't wear a cowboy hat.
It definitely was, I mean, he was in an airport, so of course he couldn't have had like a gun on him or anything like that. But he had that look. I mean, but he was straight up country. He had the big, belt, the belt buckle on him, and he had like cowboy hat, and he was, he was very, very cowboyish. So I'm like,
wow.
But if he wasn't like staring at me and being creepy, I'd probably been like, hey, you're kind of hot. But it was staring at me. And I noticed him from like when I was going through security staring at me. And then I would he would disappear, and then we would come like face each other again. And then he was like staring at me again. So it was that every time I'd get away from him, he'd end up popping back up. You get what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
So at that point I was like, why is he following me? Where is he going? Is he even, here to get on a plane? Like, yeah.
Well, if you get uncomfortable, just stare at someone's forehead. It usually makes them back down real fast. I know that's something I should be encouraging people to do, but that's what I do to someone. If they really want to go there, I'll just stare at their forehead. And I don't know what it is. It's some weird dark psychology that I guess it makes them feel self-conscious of what they're doing. But yeah, I would have just smiled. I think, hi, that is such a cool cowboy hat. Can I try it on? Wow. I just would have said it's a cool cowboy hat. So people want to join your OnlyFans, and I encourage people to join her OnlyFans because she's super cool, and maybe she'll end up doing Shakespeare and lingerie, or doing math and lingerie or something like that. Maybe you can bring your horrendous mathematical problem and bring it into the live stream and ask her, how do you solve it? How do people get to your OnlyFans?
My OnlyFans is just at Victoria Peaks, number 4, letter U.
And your loyal fans? Loyal fans?
Loyal fans is just at Victoria Peaks. There's no 4U in there. Yeah, Loyal fans is just at Victoria Peaks. I mean, you can pretty much Google Victoria Peaks XXX, and you'll find me anywhere. And if you go to my X or my Instagram, I have the link tree there that you can go to whatever site you want to go to and buy my stuff.
So follow her, buy her stuff. And do you have anything else you wanted to promote as far as any upcoming films or scenes?
There's a few things I do want to say. Thank you for everybody out there that has supported me. I did just win the ASN award for Best Female Porn Star. And it is, thank you. It was one of the only awards that is 100% fan based. It's based 100% on fan votes. And so I want to say thank you for all the fans that are watching this that supported me, and for all the fans that I'm about to gain that's going to support me later on in my career. So thank you for that. I do have, I'm working with Mickey Lynn. We are going to start bringing the old style movies back. So in Pornhub and all this stuff, you're getting scenes where you just people fucking. Like, we're gonna bring those movies back where you have, you know, an hour and a half, 2 hour feature film that has anywhere between like 5 and 8 sex scenes in it, and it has a whole storyline. We're working on one right now that I wrote myself that she's going to produce. It's called The Slutty Professor. So that's going to be coming out at the end of, between the middle of end of next, probably the summer of next year. We're filming that in West Palm coming up. And at all the Exoticas, you can come meet me, say hi to me. I really encourage people to come and say hi to me. I love meeting my fans because at the end of the day, if it's not for my fans, I wouldn't be here. And so I'm very, very loyal to them. So I'm not nasty. I do look like my pictures. That's my number one comment. They're like, oh my God, you look just like your photos. And I'm like, yeah, because I don't understand filters.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. So that's one of my biggest things. I love meeting my fans. So if you ever have a chance to go to Exotica, X3, XBiz, anything like that, please come and meet me at my booth.
Yeah, I'm excited to see these the movies being not remade, but the old style porn where we could actually make porn great again. And it's actually something to look forward to, guys. And Joe Beasler, who's on here, I know he's interested in doing adult films. Maybe you should go to Exotica and hit her up and talk to her. This guy like won all these weird like disco dancing contests, but wanted to do like a staying alive style porn. So maybe that's your chance right now, Beasler. You never know, right?
You never know who you're going to meet at Exotica, because if it wasn't for the people that I met at Exotica, I definitely wouldn't be here right now. So Exotica, go to the seminars, meet people, talk to people, go to the VIP after parties, be yourself. And that's the way to do it.
And Scott had a quick question here. He wants to know if you miss teaching ever since you started in the adult business.
Not really. It was a lot of stress. And there's different concepts to being a teacher. Do I miss standing in front of a classroom and having, honestly, what I miss is on graduation day, having that person walk through the stage and they come up to you and they're like, you know what? I am very thankful that you were hard on me. I am so, because, some of these kids don't have parenting at home. Some of the kids don't have structure that they need, and they get that only at school. So to know that I've had students come up to me that's had full-on careers and amazing careers, and they're like, I only fell in love with math because of you. And that's what I miss. But the everyday showing up to school way too early to teach these kids that don't want to be there, that hate math from the very depths of their soul, for me to be a hard worker, and the harder I work, the less respect I got. I don't miss that. So will I ever step foot in another classroom? Absolutely not. But I do miss the opportunity to change and develop someone's life. But now I'm just doing it a different way.
Well, for the slutty professor, you'll be in a classroom. So that doesn't.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, well, thanks for joining us tonight. I super appreciate it. And sorry, this is the ultra. Like, I felt so bad. I left the gym and I took a nap today. Can you believe I actually took a nap with my cat? So it was just one of those days. But I appreciate you for coming on this beautiful holiday weekend. And I hope to meet you sooner than later one day.
Mhm. Thank you so much for having me. It was an honor for even be asked to be here. So, and you look amazing to already taking a nap and been at the gym. And I'm like, I wish I looked as good as you after taking a nap and being at the gym. But so I do appreciate you having me on. It was a lot of fun being able to talk to you. And I really, truly hope I get to meet you in person.
Yeah, me too. Hopefully one of the exoticas will show up. But thanks and have a blessed night, and I will see you soon. Okay, thank you. I accidentally kicked her off before I should have, but there we go. So yeah, thanks so much for joining me again tonight, guys, and thanks for those of you who showed up on Facebook. I see you on the Facebook side of things. What is it with this fucking StreamYard? Anyway, don't forget to check out this week's episode of Crazy Train with Jasmin St. podcast on Apple or Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts. And also, for those of you who are looking to spice things up in the bedroom, make sure to hop on over to adamandeve.com, put in the code CrazyTrain, that's crazy with K, and you can get up to 50% off of most items and a bunch of free items as well. And everyone loves free. It is hotter than hell. Good night, Scott. And yes, I will see everyone next Saturday at H2O Wrestling in New Jersey for Hustlemania. I'm excited. Whoa, I'm excited for that. I'm excited to go in October to Livonia, Michigan for Horror Slam. And then, of course, the Bleeding Gums on the 14th. And I'll be posting more dates. Don't forget, at the end of the day, everyone be kind to one another. And if someone fucks with you, like, don't let them get away with it. Stand up for yourself. But most importantly, stay frosty.